All right, everybody. Hey, welcome in back to the JLFT podcast. Just listen the first time is what we like to say, but it's good to be back with you. It's been a little bit.
Quick minute.
Yeah.
Or 2 months.
Yeah, you get busy with the school year, and it is what it is. But we're excited to be back. And you know what? We've got a great topic for you today because in the field of education, it is not just teachers that make the world go around. There are a lot of moving parts that help a school function, help a teacher keep their mental sanity. It's not just us. And so recently it was just paraprofessional week, and we got to celebrate and talk about our para support staff and that sort of thing over that week. And so we want to show them some appreciation and talk about why they are important, because I don't think that they get to hear it enough.
No.
Yeah, we want to talk about that. And to get things started, let's first talk about, and I want to hear from you two, how are our support staff so integral in how life for the students goes?
Before we do that, can I give a shout out?
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to give a shout out to Wendy.
Yes, Wendy.
And Wendy, if we only have one fan, which we might, it is Wendy.
Yep.
She is one of our paras, and I don't have favorites, but if I did, it might be her.
She's awesome.
But it was dress up day at our school, and she had a picture of one of our thumbnails on her shirt.
Yeah, she made a shirt specifically for us because she's our biggest fan.
It was so great, and it took me like 2 minutes of talking to her, and the second time I talked to her to realize that it was our faces, I felt embarrassed of how long it took me to realize it.
Yeah, she really had to point it out to me too.
Yeah.
Because you're so busy during the day. You're like, I was like running to make copies or something.
Yeah. But I also want her to know is we already knew we were going to do this episode before she made a shirt with our faces on it.
This is true.
We had this planned. We just couldn't fit into our schedules.
It just worked perfectly.
Yeah, perfectly. Yes.
It worked perfectly.
Yeah. Okay, but now that we have that shout out for Wendy,
yes,
this episode is dedicated to her.
Yes, it is. But how are people like Wendy, who are in our support staff roles, so integral in the lives of our students and how we run stuff with them?
Well, I think it's important that people understand that it depends. Every paraprofessional job is different.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Yeah.
And so because it really depends on the student that they're serving or multiple students that they're serving. Mm-hmm. And, it just ranges from, it's just a big range of what
it is
they're working with.
And my mom tried subbing as a para, and it's not an easy job. She lasted 3 days before she's like, I literally can't do this. She wanted to help. And some of the situations, can be a very difficult job because they're doing so much and often are thrown in with little to no training. So I think we hopefully do a good job of doing that for our paras, but they do a lot. So I'm going to start with just saying they make sure that students who have an individualized education plan get all the services they need, making sure they get to their OT, their PT, their sensory breaks. They are on top of that and making sure that they're getting every piece of what that each student needs. If we didn't have paras, there's so many services that how would you get them? How would students get there or stay on top of that when?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
because as a class, speaking from a classroom teacher, you can't always remember if they have multiple things that they have to go to during the day. It's really hard to keep track of.
Yeah.
Well, and when you got to think about it for, the teacher has to think about it for any number of students. It's usually not just one where they're busy doing stuff. So, you might have 8 kids who have totally wacky schedules because they got to get to all sorts of different things. Right. And my brain certainly doesn't remember all that. Yeah. So it's great to have that help with making sure all those kids get
oftentimes the special education teachers too are running their own intervention stuff at that time too. So it's just I don't know, they're just the bridge between the general ed classroom and the special ed classroom, and they just make sure they get all of the services and accommodations that they need.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was saying also they do I mean, so especially if they're working with just one student or a couple students, they really build really good relationships
They do.
with the kids and build a really good rapport with them. I mean, especially if they're with them
Multiple years.
for multiple years or
Yeah.
multiple like parts of the day. So that's huge and it's awesome.
I've worked with a lot of paras where they've just have that relationship down so well where they can get that's like, I don't know, just like they come in and already, like I might not know a student they're working with and they already do. And it's amazing how much they can teach you about that kid and give you tips about them and like try this and that. It's like,
I've done that. I've like looked through them and like, what have you done in this situation like this or something, you know, and because they know.
They do. They definitely do.
I think the other, like the thing that I think about for them too, and this, I mean, I guess this doesn't, well, no, it does. Sorry. I was thinking, you know, and had to think my thoughts through quick and then say them. It's a me thing. It's a me thing.
Yeah.
It's like to have the heart of like such a servant heart is what these support staff have is because, or the reason I think that is because their job doesn't, in most districts, their job doesn't pay super well. You know what I mean?
Way more.
Like there are other jobs where you don't have to, you know, deal with all of the needs of children, and there are a lot, you know, just in general, and where you can get paid the same or more in a much less, I don't know, I don't know if stressful is the right word, but a different type of stress, right?
It is.
And so they just have this heart of gold where they just want to help kids, and I think that's so cool because they really could be doing other stuff that are a different type of stress, but you know, I don't know. I just think that it really shows that they've got that big servant heart.
Yes, for sure. And then there's also, you know, there's not just like support staff that is supporting children with IEPs, but also like for us, like
just like tier 2 intervention.
Tier 2 intervention. There it is. So like
reading and math intervention.
Working with small groups of students who, you know, whether it's pushing in or pulling out of the classroom, just again allowing students to have more one-on-one or just small group attention, giving them more, just I don't know, just building connections with them socially, emotionally, and academically. Like they're helping them out in all those things. And I think that's a big thing too. Like there's so many students when they're having a hard day will go find our paras and just like they seek them out because they have such good connections with them, whether it's from a small group or from just the like playground supervision and different parts of the day.
And then, so I was going to bring that up in our school. We get our paras help out with playground supervision during lunch, which is fabulous.
It is.
And I think they do a great job. And they, I mean, there's the playground. That's a whole different world.
Yep. Especially when you have those overlapping times when it's multiple grades out there for a little bit. And
yeah, that's where many a problem arises.
Yes.
And they handle it well, and they make such good
that's what
the kids love them. Like it's just it's cool to see. And I don't know if they always realize that those connections have been made, or that the kids talk about them as much as they do,
or that we see it.
Yeah, that too.
You know, like we as teachers see it,
and that's on us. Probably we not always vocalizing it. I mean, I definitely try to, and I know you guys do too. Yeah. But I mean, there's really not like we couldn't do it enough. You know? And
right?
So,
yeah.
They're important. Yeah, so important. So now let me ask you this then. So we talked about how they help out with the students and how they make those connections and that sort of thing. As teachers, what do you appreciate about the support staff, like for yourself and like in your own classroom, as compared to, you know, like if they're pulled out for services and they're helping with those or playground or whatever. Yeah. So like when you've got a paraprofessional in your classroom, what do you appreciate most about them?
It's another adult in the room, and the one, like I've had some amazing paras in my room where it's like they're not only like they become part of the class. It's not like they're just, oh, I'm here for the student, yes, but they are willing to help anybody, and they get to know my students, and my students are comfortable going to ask them for help, and it's like another adult in the classroom that my students respect and can go to if they have a simple question, and they're always willing to help. Is that part of their job to help the other students necessarily? No, but they've become such a big part of our classroom that it just kind of happens, and they take that role on and are willing to be an extra set of hands and eyes in the classroom, which it just...
While still serving their student first.
For sure. But it's just, they just... The way they're able to just... I don't even know. Just make it seem so seamless and like just helping everybody they can. Yeah. Which is amazing.
You pretty much just said everything I was going to say.
But like I said earlier too, like we can't overstate it enough, like how helpful it can be, especially when you do have someone, an adult in there who's willing to assert themselves into your classroom and be a part of those, hands-on things, helping, answering questions, that sort of thing. Because, we get thousands of questions a day. And sometimes you just need to
have somebody else help out.
Somebody else.
And I think that too, like being a classroom teacher, mentally, physically, just it's draining. And then you have like a special ed teacher, like they are nonstop as well. So it's like having a para who works with both of us, like it's also nice having like, because we don't get a chance to talk to all of our special education teachers all that often either, because we don't necessarily see them throughout the day.
Right. And that might be location-wise because of where, just in our building, but that's how it is for us.
Yes, for like I don't necessarily see them as often as, so it's nice just having like,
bridge.
Yeah, bridge of communication and just, can chat with them about what's going on in both locations, and they just kind of help connect both worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that is huge.
I think another part too could be like within your classroom, like let's say you've got your set of management guidelines or what you do to manage a classroom. It's always great to have another person reinforcing those with kids, right? Like the same exact ones. Like they know the paraprofessional knows what you expect, and so then they do that. And so then the kids aren't just hearing it from one voice, they're hearing it from multiple, and I think that just kind of innately builds that in the kids where they're like, okay, I'm not going to be able to overstep my boundary here.
I'm just going to say that I was just thinking as you were talking about that, about how some paras go into multiple classrooms, and that, and
every classroom's so different.
They're different. Like like your expectations and my expectations are the same expectations, but we
executed differently.
Yes. So it's so like learning the style of the classroom and having to learn like that'd be really hard.
They're adaptable.
They do. They have to just be like a chameleon and just.
Well, and I think it's like I've had times when I've been gone and I know that the kids are like, sometimes for a sub push the limits. But the times when I have like, if I've had a para that's in my room for certain times or whether it's full day, they're like, oh, well, they know what the expectation is. So they're going to tell us we can't. Like it kind of helps keep the rest of the class in line.
Accountable.
When I'm gone, because they do know what I expect, and they are such a big part of our classroom when they're in there. That it's
right.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think too that maybe sometimes it's, being a paraprofessional is hard, and what makes it hard too is that maybe sometimes they don't know. Like we're talking about, we really like it when they come in and are part of our classroom, and sometimes I think that's hard right away to do that, to start, because like where is my role? Can I tell these kids what to do?
Don't want to overstep
Can I not?
boundaries.
Right, they don't want to overstep. And so that would be really hard, a hard thing to dance around, I guess.
No, it would. I would be bad at it because I'm not good at asserting myself. I would just be like, oh, okay, unless you tell me to do something, I'm not. You know what I mean?
I'm just gonna hang out back here.
And I don't know. That's why I'm just so appreciative of like all they do because literally so much goes on. Like a school would not be able to function without them.
No.
Right.
No. And yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that kind of, so you talking about how a school wouldn't be able to function without them kind of leads me into the next thing where it's like we're thinking about, okay, we kind of touched on how they're important for students, how they're important for teachers, but not only that, how are they important for the entire school as well as even the culture of the school. And so your point of us not being able to function kind of made me think about how lots of school buildings, ours included, honestly, are pretty understaffed when it comes to support staff, right? Like you could always use more of it, but what that does is it puts a lot more on the ones that we have.
It does,
you know, and so they've got to wear, like teachers obviously wear multiple hats for all sorts of things, but same with them, and it's different hats than we wear, right?
It is.
And they've, so like we talked about recess duty or watching and supervising lunch or taking kids to OT or taking kids to speech or
doing reading groups,
like holy cow. And all of them do multiple things. Like there's none of them, or there are none of them who do anything super specialized.
No.
You know, like they're all doing so many different things. And so that, I mean, that is one of those big things that really does help our school function, or help any school function, because I mean, we're not going to be able to do all that.
No.
You know, we wouldn't have any teachers left if that's what we
you'd be burnt out all of that.
Or we might even like sensory breaks for kids that need sensory breaks. I don't, how would that get done? I don't know. Like that, there's just so many things that,
Yeah. And I just think too, like, I don't know if they always realize how powerful it is from them knowing, because a lot of them know whether it's like a grade level they've been with, if they're with like the same student where they get to know like kids in that grade, or if they're new in duty, they get to know almost all the kids, and how powerful it is for them to be there from year to year and for kids to have comfort in recognizing them when they're out at recess and feeling comfortable because they know that that's, you know, so-and-so is going to be out there, and just reassuring for students as they start a new grade or a new class that, oh, well, at least at
here's
lunch, I have this familiar face going on.
And, I currently have a para that's in my room quite a bit, and she's fantastic. I'm awesome.
And you looped, so you've had her.
So I've had her for 2 years, which is absolutely wonderful. But she's also was in a looping classroom before that, so she looped with another teacher in first and second grade, and so like she's really developed like a really good relationship with all the kids in the grade, and they will oftentimes go to her sometimes before me. When I don't take offense to it at all. I'm like, this is fantastic.
Some of them have been like, think about this. A lot of them who are not even her students have been with her for 4 straight years. Yeah. And so like you build a even I mean, just because you're in the same environment as them, you build that relationship. And that like 4 years. Holy cow.
Yeah.
You know. And like we get most kids for 1, if you loop 2, and she's doubled that.
Yeah, she has. And it's funny because like I just remember one time a student came up to her and were like, "Hey, can I get a Band-Aid?" And she's like, "I don't know where the Band-Aids are." It was just, I kind of laughed, and I've obviously shown them where the Band-Aids are, and it was just like it's cute. I really like it, and it just makes your little classroom community feel really tight. So, yeah, I'm very appreciative.
Absolutely.
Do you like? I'm so bad at like when I have someone join my room necessarily like being like, "Hey, this is what I like expect out of you." You know what I mean?
Right.
So do you just like, in case everyone's listening and they're starting it and they have a teacher like me who's like, I'm not good at telling you exactly what to do. Like, what are things that you appreciate when they're in your room? Like, you know what I mean?
I think
That
proximity is huge.
Just
Like if they just sit near kids,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
that's really like, that's a big thing.
Yeah, like,
obviously next to their student, but even if we're up at the carpet, like come sit up by us.
Yeah,
sure.
At the carpet,
And not even that. I mean, like going off of that. Sorry, not even that. Building off of that. Like, let's say we're sitting at the rug, like at third grade, you still do that. Yeah. But
I still did that in fourth grade.
Yeah. Well, then they're getting pretty big. You're probably running out of space.
Well, yeah, I had to take my rug away actually, and we were doing dot spots.
Yeah, so you can spread them out a little more. Yep, because they start to grow up.
They
really do.
Yeah.
But anyways, you're sitting there, and maybe there's one kid that's kind of goofing, and they just, if they just kind of like go and perch themselves by that, like you talked about proximity, but like just having another adult right next to any behavior that's happening usually nips it right away.
And I think just there too, like joining what's going on, like if we're up doing a read aloud, like I love when they come and sit, like what you just said, proximity, but it's like, sometimes if you sit in the back or like you're like, oh, I'm not really needed right now, then it's like you're not necessarily like, you're kind of cut off from what's going on, and then things can start going on. So just joining whatever we are doing is
just being part of the classroom.
I do want to say this though too, because we do realize that like if they're serving one individual kid in their IEP, like legally they're there for that.
Oh no,
student.
for sure.
So like we understand we're not saying that we want them helping
doing
all
everybody
of our
else.
Right.
Not at all.
It's
not
just more of like a, hey, if your kid's doing really good.
Yes.
And you're, if
and
you're
especially
able
when
to
they're
help
feeling
out.
comfortable, like within the classroom and stuff, just like when you're a part of it. And that's just what I mean, like if they are, let's say if they're serving one student, like making sure you're just like involved, even if like, hey, if they're on task doing what they're supposed to, still be involved with what's going on. And it's nice.
And I always appreciate.
It holds that student accountable too.
Yeah.
If you're there with them.
Yeah. But I guess what I was going to say is I always appreciate when, because I'm also like that, where I'm like bad at really telling you like what I need you to do, but the support staff who comes and asks, I always appreciate
really
that
nice.
where they're like, hey, like you were just reading a book during that time. What would you like me to do during that time?
Exactly.
like
because there are times where it's a little like, oh,
right. Or if they're like, my student, like as you're reading a book, are locked in, like I don't need to worry about them. So what is there anything else I can be helping with that? Like, that's
feeling willing to ask questions.
We don't always know what they know.
Yeah.
Like as the parents, so we don't always know what the parents know. And so like, if the parents come in and they don't know what to do, I might not know that.
Yeah. And then I'm not good at being like, hey, so like, I like when they're willing to come ask questions because it's just like sometimes a little awkward, little like, hey,
it is a little
like,
hey,
what's going on? What are you doing? Yeah. So yeah, if you are a pair and you're like, wait, should I be doing something? Just go ask the teacher because I like when they do that too.
Yep. Yep. And that just shows that you're willing to help, which is so
appreciative.
Yeah.
Like so appreciated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Really
so
like
we
help.
love you.
we really like Paras.
Yes, we do.
They're awesome.
We would love to get more.
Yeah.
Like, if you're thinking about finding a job,
there,
we would love you.
Yep.
Yes. Come join us.
We would certainly love to have you if you wanted to come join us. But we, as we wrap this thing up, the support staff is so important in any school building. It's just unbelievably helpful, unbelievably appreciated, and coming from a guy who I try to thank as much as I can. I feel like I could thank more. You know, and
I know.
It's just like such an integral part of a school. The day-to-day functions, the helping keep other adults in the building sane with their hands-on abilities, and it's something that we really appreciate. So like Paraprofessional Week is one where we wish we could stretch it out for longer than just a week.
And do more.
And do more.
Yeah.
I wish I made a ton of money so I could give you all a lot of money.
Exactly.
I have $7.
Yeah, I can give you about 13 cents.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's something. But,
Yeah. No, but
thank you. Anybody out there who is a paraprofessional, or if you're thinking about going into it, thanks in advance. We appreciate you and what you do for our students. We appreciate you and what you do for us as teachers. And thank you so much for what you do for an entire school community, because, again, pretty thankless job, and it definitely shouldn't be.
no,
It's,
we wouldn't be able to have a public school without you. So
No.
Yeah. So that is it for this episode of Just Listen the First Time, and we're here with Fletcher, Kacey, and Mark, and we are excited to chat with you again next time. Thanks for listening.
bye.
See ya.